Hey, hi, hello, here's an interesting tweet. Still waiting to get sued. How's that going, by the way? Oh, this is just the cherry on top. For those of you who don't know, last month I made a video on Onision being sued in the state of Florida. And now, Onision is also being sued in the state of Michigan. Yes, he is now being sued by two former folks that he was involved with. Today we're going to be going through the Michigan lawsuit, as it does contain some more context to what exactly happened or allegedly happened to the situation that involved Sarah when she was moved into the scary demon hellhole home where a lot of terrible things took place. And that's what we're going to go over today. So let's jump right into this. Page 1 of 67. A lot of this is a repeat of the same sort of thing in the last video in terms of what they're going for, but if anything, I find that this lawsuit in the Michigan one it has a way stronger case than the one in Florida. That's just my personal opinion. I hope both of them win. The difference between this lawsuit and the other one is while Sarah was directly involved with living with them and was forced into a situation that she should never have been in to begin with and didn't want. Whereas the other lawsuit, certain images were transferred that would be considered illegal and criminal in nature. So both these separate lawsuits have different angles in which they are approaching Greg at, which is just fascinating. And for those of you who don't know and didn't watch the last video in the Florida, they are also going after YouTube, which is fascinating to me. I don't know how this is going to play out. I don't really have any speculation other than, wow, they're going after YouTube too for damages because they allowed him to be on the site for so long and profit and monetize horrendous content that would normally would be removed. A lot of content gets removed nowadays, especially with how strict everything is on YouTube, and it took so long for them to do anything. But regardless, let's jump into this. All right, so plaintiff Sarah versus Google, James Jackson, Lucas Jackson, Laney-Bot, Laney, and Kai. Every lawsuit, there is a complaint. This is not the official lawsuit. I need to make that very clear. A complaint is what you submit to the filing to start the lawsuit. So basically, this is the preface of what starts the lawsuit. Once the complaint is filed, the official lawsuit has yet to be seen by people. We don't know what it is yet. It's going to be probably longer than 67 pages. Again, this is just the complaint. The complaint is what starts everything. Well, this is just going over exactly how YouTube profited, what Onision did. Special thanks to the sponsor of the channel today. You've heard of them before, Raycon. These are their everyday earbuds. They have a variety of different colors, 8 hours of playtime. One of my personal favorites is they have these custom gel tips that fit into your ear based upon your ear size. Noise isolation mode that just cuts out so much of the background. But my personal favorite is that they have custom sound profiles for the earbuds. These everyday earbuds have over 50,000 5-star reviews. But you know the best part of all with Raycon is that these earbuds are a fraction of the price of your normal premium earbuds that you would buy on the market today. And right now, if you go to buyraycon.com/Repsion, you are going to get 15% off your Raycon purchase. They're also water and sweat resistant. So do me a favor, click the link down below in the description box, check out Raycon for yourselves, try them out today. I use these earbuds every single day when I listen to my audiobooks, and they're just so flexible and customizable that I wouldn't choose any other brand. So click the link down below, support the channel. This is some important stuff, specifically right down here. After flirting and grooming Sarah for 2 years, Laney and Onision invited Sarah to come visit them in their home in Washington State. Over the next few years, Sarah visited several times on the following dates. These are documented, right? And I'm sorry, but I still stand by this years later. It is so weird to me to have two adults invite a 16-year-old to live with them, to even visit them. That's not normal. That's weird, dude. I'm never gonna be able to comprehend that, right? Like, this happened. This is established. It's just strange to me. And there's no doubt in my mind that they took advantage of somebody who was in a horrendous parental living environment, who didn't have a lot of support, and they saw that and they preyed upon that and took that person in for their own personal exploitation. I believe that. And even if the lawsuit doesn't win or does win, I'm still going to stand by that because I believe that happened. From everything that Onision has even said his own self online, right? During these visits, Onision and Sarah, Laney and Sarah's guardian, this is an important fact, right? People were always like, well, she was never a guardian. Yes, they were. They were put in place as a guardian for Sarah. Now, for those of you who don't know what guardians do, that pretty much puts you into like the parental role of like legal guardianship over that child, that minor, the teenager, right? That's what that is designed for. There's always been speculation like she was never, well, it's in the legal document now, okay? So unless the lawsuit's lying, right? Sarah was a minor constantly exposing to sexual jokes, commentary physically touching her legs, buttocks, and body, comments about the way her body looked, discussions of being together and running away together, validation. I don't know what that word is. In the way that she was created for fear, anxiety, uncertainty, and desire to please, exposure to acts with other partners, and perpetually charged environment. Years after being groomed and objectified by Lady Onision, Sarah was then AR'd by Onision at the age of 18. After violating her, Onision fell into the pattern of victim shaming, in which he has published statements claiming that Sarah had AR'd him and that she is both a felon. Both these statements are untrue. So, funny fact here about defamation cases, okay? At least in the state of Washington, every state's a little bit different. But the way defamation works is that you have to make a claim. And when you make a criminal claim about somebody, that does not fall under free speech, right? If somebody calls you an asshole, somebody says that you're ugly, somebody calls you fat, somebody makes fun of you, somebody says an opinion piece about you, what they think of you, that falls under free speech. But if you make criminal accusations saying this person did AR'd me, right? And it's not true, and they know it's not true, and they intentionally spread malicious statements that are untrue, and they know it's not true, and it can be proven, that's another key, can be proven that it's not true, that falls under defamation, and you have a very strong case, right? Because you have to choose intent. You have to showcase that they did this maliciously with the intent to harm somebody mentally or psychologically or physically, right? And it's very weird after, she came forward, she's like, this happened to me, then Onision flipped the switch, and it's like, well, no, she actually did this to me. Nobody believes that, Greg. Shut the fuck up. You are a pathological liar. No. You're telling me that, no offense to Sarah, skinny 18-year-old girl managed to grab two adults and force them to do things? Like, you've got to be shitting me. It's just, I still can't comprehend that. He made videos after videos saying, Sarah AR'd me, Sarah AR'd me, Sarah AR'd me, Sarah AR'd me. No, she didn't. 46, Sarah was a minor for the majority of the time that she was trafficked. She became an adult at the later portion of being trafficked and was AR'd and defamed as an adult. Because defendants' victimization of Sarah is part of a trafficking conspiracy, Sarah reasonably feared retaliation from Onision and stalking of harassment from other members of the online community, as many of Onision's fans have targeted other women who oppose Onision. Sarah's safety, right to privacy, and personal security outweighed the public interest in knowing her identification. I just want to come in defense here, is that people do deserve privacy, and whether they are a YouTuber or not, the privacy and well-being of people on the internet are important. They really are. And what he did and what he did to other people, for example, Billy, right? When she opened up herself to some very personal things that she went through with Onision, and then he made a whole video talking about like her abortion that she went through, and telling thousands of people about that, right? She never told the public about that stuff. That's stuff that she kept private, right? And he blasted that to millions of people. It's just like, there's no boundaries with him. There never have been. Any public comments of Sarah has made has only been done with her first name and not her last. It is the public's interest to give anonymity to abuse and trafficking survivors so that other victims will feel the ability to come forward and not be fearful that their identity will be publicized. Sarah's legitimate concerns for privacy outweigh any prejudice to defendants for the public allowing the plaintiff to proceed anonymously. This stuff is just going about how YouTube profits through the monetization program, YouTube Partner Program, in the history of Sky, his first wife, his popularity, his YouTube channel. Again, we covered this in the last video, but these were some of the videos: how to give a girl a hickey, how to get skinny too skinny, how to ask someone to date you, how to tell if you're circumcised, how to flirt with guys, am I ugly or not, am I pretty? And in a lot of these videos, and this is confirmed on my older content of mine, is that he would take photos of minors. This is confirmed, 100 factual, verifiable, of people, of these like between the as young as 12 to like 15 years of age, and you'd put them in his video, and they would be in like their underwear and a bra, and that's not okay. I'm sorry, that's not okay to publish that type of stuff to the internet and make comments about their body type. It's just, I never saw it was ever acceptable at any point. It's just weird. And I'm so curious to see how this gets brought up in court, because there's even further, I covered this in a video. I don't have it on hand. But there was a point where a mother reached out to Onision and said, hey, my child who's like 14, 13 is on your video, and you're posting a photo of her like in her with very little clothes on, right? And you're posting her on the internet without the parental consent of that. Horrendous. That's terrible. And he wouldn't remove it. He wouldn't remove the video. I remember he even like it was a huge thing back then. I don't remember what year. I think it was like 2016, maybe 2017. I may be mistaken. I don't remember the timeline specifically, but it was around when the time these videos were being made. And something that's really important that I mention here is that children can't consent. Hell, when I think about it, actually, so Onision, for those of you who don't know, in his books, he published like his kids' names in his books with all of his weird content, right? And I made a video talking about, he did legal name changes of all of his kids' names. And I mentioned the kids' first names, and I showed it on screen, their first names. And I regret doing that. I feel bad because, one, again, children can't consent. And now that I'm in a position where I'm a father, stepdad, it's changed my perspective a lot on how I view privacy in regards to children and minors overall. If you're below the age of 18, you're a minor, and your privacy should be even more protected than the average adult. If I could go back in time and change how I covered certain things with Onision, I would absolutely do that. But it's weird. Now that I'm on the opposite end of the stick, I know, regardless of how terrible Onision is, his kids deserve privacy. And that's why you've never seen me post photos of them. That's why you've never seen me, there's been people in public taking pictures of his kids and stuff. And like, I'll never promote that. I'll never retweet that. I'll never like stuff like that, because their faces don't deserve to be on the internet. They deserve to be protected. Regardless of how bad of a father you may think he is, they don't deserve that by their own father, me, or other YouTubers, period. This goes into Onision and Shiloh and Lainey, also known as Lucas now. Other videos of them, I covered this. Rate me 1 to 10. Would Lainey bot date you? Hot or not? Lainey bot chooses marry or kill. Are your boobs actually too big or small? Like, holy shit, bro. Still amazes me that this was ever allowed in the first place. Something that I actually haven't seen here on page 31 is this text exchange, and this is a Twitter conversation. She says, hey, how old are you? Hey, Lainey, I'm 14. And then they say, you look older. Hong, really? Thanks. You're going to be 20 soon, right? Weird, dude. Weird. Shortly prior to this, Sarah and Lainey had been recently started messaging on Kick, and Lainey told Sarah if she found her cute. At this time, Lainey was 19 years, about to turn 20. Given Sarah's vulnerability, she embraced the positive attention she was receiving from Lainey and couldn't believe a famous person cared about her or wanted to be her friend. When Lainey and Sarah first began speaking, Lainey identified her as a straight married woman. As a result, Sarah did not understand she was being groomed by Lainey, and she believed contact would never be a result from these conversations. Throughout 2015, Sarah, Regina, and Lainey formed a strong friendship. We called a group chat called the Three Musketeers. I'm not going to go into the specifics of this, but yeah. Lainey started to share explicit details about her jiggy life with Onision with both Regina and Sarah. Totally inappropriate. Why would you do that? Because of the heavy conversations and the flirtatious, the attention, Sarah's own vulnerability, Sarah began having to have romantic feelings for Lainey at the age of 14. Lainey discusses her sexuality with her to include sexual acts she wished to do with Sarah and express sexual and emotional desire for her. Given Sarah's childhood, she craved that type of attention, desire, and fell prey to Lainey's trap. And he encouraged other adults to message Sarah, a 14-year-old child, do this. I actually have not seen this tweet before, but this is on her old account saying, go, cute girls who are 18 plus should hit me up. Cute girls who are 18 plus should hit me up when she was 14 years old, and Lucas is literally saying, do this. That's not weird. What? Why? You can be an adult and not be like weird like this, dude. I don't understand why people have to do stuff. It's so upsetting when I see things like this. During this time, Sarah also began to speak to Onision in addition to Lainey. In January of 2015, Sarah changed her name to Jailbait, acknowledging that the ongoing sexual nature of the communications with herself as a minor and child was legal risks as it posed to Lainey and Onision. As depicted, Jackson's commentary, inclusive of Onision, contained connotations such as into the dungeon, which kind of where the whole dungeon meme on Onision stemmed from, was from this, actually. I haven't seen this. Onision, you could always tell, just sleep upstairs, you know. Jailbait, not for the forbidden floor. Sarah, into the dungeon. Like, this is... Wow. I'm actually... Look, I had some of these, but I hadn't seen some of these. These are things I haven't seen all of these before. Because I did make a video on Lucas, also now goes Lucas, but Kai. They used to go by Kai, and I made a whole video on them. And I included some of these, but some of these I haven't seen. So this is new. Instagram, isn't my girlfriend hot? Over the years. This was, again, I have a meal for you. This is, why would you tweet these things, man? Sarah turned 15 years old on August 15th, making her 14-year-olds when she received these messages. I'm meeting Sarah in 6 days. The online community objected and flagged how inappropriate this was. Lainey called Sarah. In that call, Lainey propositioned Sarah, telling her it was illegal for them to have sexual intercourse based upon Sarah's age, but suggested they could kiss and make out instead. Huh. Wow. On September 15th, 1 month after her 16th, Sarah flew to Gig Harbor, Washington to visit Lainey and Onision. At this time, Onision was 30 years old, Lainey was 20. Onision told Sarah that she was mature for her age and felt like hanging out with 20-year-olds. Weeks later, Sarah first visited Onision, Lainey invited blah, 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 blah. Sarah's mother allowed her to do this, signed a medical and financial power of attorney to Lainey. Sarah's mother also awarded Lainey guardianship over Sarah. So, for any people who still defend Onision, this happened, and this is not normal. It's not normal to have sexual conversations with children and then get parental guardianship, medical guardianship, financial guardianship over them and bring them into your home as adults to exploit them. What? So if you've ever had any doubt on me covering this in the last decade, right? This solidifies that it... And you know what will probably happen in this court case, the Michigan lawsuit? They're probably going to actually show the actual guardianship document proving this. There should be even more evidence. Like, shut the fuck up. You few people that are still out there who defend this, you are crazy. You're just on the same level as him, honestly. If you defend two adults exploiting a minor in order to get full financial and medical and power of attorney over them and moving them in their house. It's not normal. 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 Soon after arriving, Onision began making sexually charged jokes to Sarah, including explicit references and topics. The jokes constantly effectively minimized the feelings that jiggy was taboo in the mind of Sarah at the time. Onision soon began touching Sarah in a very small yet suggestive ways. In the first visit of the house, Sarah touched Sarah's face and caressed her face in a sensual way. Jesus Christ, dude. While living at their residence, Onision and Sarah were together wearing only shirts and underwear, not pants. While Lainey was showering with Onision, delivery pressed her... He pressed the carrot against her buttocks, making her feel uncomfortable. I'm sorry, it's really... It's upsetting and weird to read this stuff. On another occasion, Onision was giving minor Sarah a back massage and began caressing and rubbing her buttocks in a manner. He also reached around the front of her shirt and fondled her. Sarah felt extremely uncomfortable. And like, you have to be, here's the thing, you need to put yourself into when I was 16, I didn't know anything. Like, I didn't find out about sex until I was like 15, literally, because I grew up Southern Baptist religious, right? But you have to understand, when you have somebody who doesn't have any life experience, who's never been in these types of situations, especially with adults sexually, right? A 15 or 16-year-old, it doesn't know how to say, like, stop. Like, they're uncomfortable, but they're put in a fight or fright. Cannot speak in this video. They're put in a fight or fright. They are put in a fight or flight position where a large portion of people, when they're this young, freeze, and they don't know what to do, and they just what continues happening to them, they don't know what to do and they freeze. And it just happens. And they're abused sexually. They're taken advantage of. They're exploited. They're hurt. They're molested. They're whatever, you know, because they're so young. They have no life experience. They're still growing up to be an adult. They're not an adult yet, and they can't consent to this stuff. They cannot consent, which is why we have laws in place. Onision would find reasons to brush up against Sarah on her body and touching her, continuing until she would step back. This happened frequently, adding to the high energy in the home. And I can't even imagine living through this. Sarah is so strong for coming out of this shit, dude. Sorry, I don't really want to keep reading all this out. It's upsetting. I'm going really slow so you can just read this for yourself. When Lainey and Onision would get in fights, Lainey would frequently tell Sarah that it was Zillow time and they would review properties together under the pretense that the house that they would move to when they ran away together. He would frequently touch Sarah in flirtatious ways, caressing her legs and tickling her. When individuals on social media started realizing that she was a minor child on Onision's house, Onision attempted to control the narrative by recording a video titled Sarah is Leaving. Yeah, do you remember, guys? Do you remember that video where they forced Sarah to like make a video and say like nothing inappropriate was happening? And you could tell like the distress on her face and how upset and like she was being abused. She was being coerced to make a dedicated video for Onision and get on screen and talk and say like nothing inappropriate's happening. They're good people. This is so much deeper than people really realize on YouTube. We see what we see on the internet, but we didn't really know the severity of all of this until this document, this complaint has been issued, right? And it goes so much deeper. And I want people to step back. This is not YouTube drama. This is criminal, okay? This is not YouTube drama. I don't consider this YouTube drama. Yes, I've covered stuff with Onision and drama and stuff, but there's been a lot of stuff that he has done that's been drama related, but this is serious shit. This affects people's lives. This has permanent repercussions of what she's going to, for the rest of her life, she's going to know about what the experiences she went through is going to affect her in all of her future relationships and marriages and everything. Relations with family, relations with boyfriends, girlfriends, whoever, right? This stuff affects people. It stunts and makes you look at relationships in a completely different context, in a toxic, destructive way of what you consider to be normalized relationship behavior. That's what this type of stuff does. It's traumatizing. It happens to boys, it happens to girls. Don't even get me started on like what abuse does to young boys. That's a whole nother realm that half the internet doesn't want to talk about because it's uncomfortable. April 5th, she returned for the third time to the residence. During the third visit, Onision facilitated by being calm, kind, and friendly, being angry and mean. The variance in this attitude sowed discord and instability over Sarah, exacerbated for insecurity, fostered a desire to make her online hero like her, and caused her to question what she had done wrong. Sarah returned to Michigan in April 13th, 2017. She came back. Sarah was not the only person with them at the home. Onision and Lainey invited multiple other people to visit for the purpose of engaging in a three-way encounters. More times, he would make her feel uncomfortable. Onision told Sarah when he saw her, she looked like the girl next door who moved back home but was super hot. Sarah had felt like a yo-yo with Onision and Lainey over her teenage years. Not only were there guardians, but Onision facilitated between kindness, silliness, cruelty, and rage. Further, a couple alternated between wanting and inviting Sarah to be with them and then cast her aside. This constant variance and inconsistency caused Sarah to feel uncertain and negatively affected her own self-image, her self-worth, and exasperated her symptomology of fear, loneliness, and seeking acceptance. This is what I was just explaining earlier. This stuff is life trauma-inducing. Onision and Kai both coerced Sarah to create a video addressing the allegations. In this video, Sarah said that she did not engage in any relations while underage. Sarah did not wish to lie and therefore only stated the literal truth. In reality, Sarah was afraid that she would lose her friendship with Kai and was afraid she would lose her ability to come to Onision and Kai's house, both things she valued greatly. As the video was posted, Onision and Kai invited Sarah to visit Gig Harbor again. Wow, it's almost like that weird stipulation, like you have to do this if you want to be accepted by us, if you want to see us again, you want to be close to us again, you want our attention, you want us to love you, you want us to be a parental figure for you, then you have to do this. And if you don't do this, well, then you can't come back. That's manipulative. That's controlling. Honor to attempt to manipulate Sarah by conceding he'd been mean, promising to be kind, and asking her to sign an NDA. Specifically, Onision texted Sarah. This kind of feels like a last big challenge before all of our lives become what we want it to be. Everyone is happy. I'm sorry for being so rude to you all these years. I hope you understand why I was distancing myself from you. I'm so glad I can finally feel comfortable being real with you and ending the rudeness, but I'm sorry. Also, I think I'll send you an NDA early so I can talk about you publicly. Can't talk about you publicly, nor do I want to do in the future. Your privacy is important. Yet, what a load of shit, you dumb. We'll get to you soon unless you just want to wait till you visit again. Sarah did not want to sign this document and made up excuse to dodge and avoid it. Sarah was able to visit again without signing the NDA. Sarah traveled and arrived in Washington in 2019. Onision and Kai began having full intercourse. Sarah was inexperienced and was shocked by what was occurring. Nonetheless, without asking permission or confirming consent, Onision pulled Sarah over to where she was engaging. Prior to this moment, Sarah had not consented to the activity with either Onision or Kai. Sarah began kissing Kai, and while Sarah agreed to kiss Kai, Sarah did not intend to engage in any acts with Onision. And this is something that I know Sarah has gotten a lot of shit for this situation, which she shouldn't be to begin with, because she was put in this situation completely unfairly. But if you're in a dynamic, let's just say a poly relationship, you can consent to, hey, I want to make out with this person and not physically do certain acts with another person. Like, consent is very me to you type of thing, right? That's how consent works. Just because you do something with somebody else and you're in a three-way doesn't give that third person to come in and do things physically, sexually, without your consent, okay? There's this misconception of poly in regards to that, like, everything's just free game. It's not. You still have to get consent of your partner and the people that you're involved with. But there's misconceptions with just poly relationships in general, and I just wanted to clarify that this is a really important statement. Kissing, Kai left the bedroom for a few moments, leaving Onision with Sarah. Without consent, Onision immediately pulled Sarah's pajama bottoms off. Sarah was petrified and did not want to pull her pants off. She grabbed the sheet to cover her exposed body. Onision physically grabbed for the sheet and forcibly pulled it, attempting to pull it off Sarah. Sarah desperately pulled it back, struggling to remain covered. When Sarah resisted these attempts, Onision became angry and she was not cooperating with him. Sarah then attempted to reach her pajama shorts while holding up the sheet. Onision, seeing what she was attempting to do, quickly grabbed the shorts and flung them across the room out of reach. Sarah remained stationary, gripping the covers of her body, thinking Onision understood that she was not willing to engage in these types of acts with him based on the exchange that just took place. Sarah began kissing Kai again. Without warning, Onision grabbed Sarah's leg. Sarah resisted and pulled her legs back, making her refusal to his demands obvious. Onision, not taking no for an answer, used more force and shoved Sarah in front of him. Without hesitation and against Sarah's clear resistance in his advances, he attempted to first digitally penetrate Sarah, and then he vaginally Sarah from behind. Sarah was petrified and froze, unable to move her limbs. Onision continued to R Sarah for what felt like an eternity. Sarah began to silently cry with tears welling up in her face while she was being R'd. During this entire incident, Kai did nothing to help Sarah. The next morning, not knowing what to do, Sarah attempted to hide downstairs. Onision found her and picked her up, hugged her, and lavished her with kindness. Sarah did not know what to make of this. Almost immediately after, Onision demanded her sign an NDA documents. Sarah was uncomfortable but executed them because she believed she had no choice after being groomed from her teenage years, accumulating in these moments of vulnerability and control. In other words, when guardians told her to sign the NDA documents, she had been groomed and conditioned to obey. Upon the confirmation and belief, Onision and Lainey's intent with the NDA was to protect themselves from illegal grooming and R from the plaintiff. The NDA was not a valid contract. The parties did not have a meeting of the minds when it was signed. Sarah signed it under coercion, and Sarah had been groomed and conditioned to obey Onision and direct activities. The NDA lacked any consideration. The terms were vague, general, and undefined. And even if the NDA had been contractually sound, it was breached by Onision. That's true. Which, by the way, when you have an NDA and somebody signs it, you have to get the NDA notarized. A lot of people forget notarization is what actually makes a document a document. And he did breach this because the whole NDA was the whole purpose of the NDA was so that Onision and Sarah couldn't talk about any of the things that they had went through in this whole dynamic and, and he breached that. So, way to go. Can't even hold yourself to your own standards, idiot. Sarah went home January 2019. In the days and weeks, Onision's execution of his plan to engage in with his target, Sarah made statements indicating how much she enjoyed engaging with these acts with Kai together, and that she missed Sarah, and that he loved Sarah and wanted to continue this polyamorous relationship. Sarah, on the other hand, did not feel like she had engaged in a mutual enjoyable act. Rather, she felt confused, ashamed, and afraid. Sarah did not know how to handle the emotions that she was having and was still seeking acceptance and understanding from Kai and Onision. On the last night of her trip, the three engaged in activity together. On the trip back to the airport, Onision told Sarah she was his girlfriend now. Sarah felt incredibly guilty and used. However, this made her feel validated for the exploitation that had occurred to the date. On or about July 17th to the 23rd of 2019, Onision knew Kai would be out of town in New Mexico and therefore flew Sarah to their house to spend more time with him. Onision launched an online attack on her in the same manner and pattern of multiple other former partners. On August 24th, Onision manufactured a story, started a victim shaming, and accused Sarah of blackmailing him and R-ing him. This method is referred to DARVO, which refers to a reaction perpetrators of wrongdoing, particularly sexual offenders, may display in response to being held accountable for I didn't know this was even a certain method that abusers use. DARVO stands for deny, attack, and reverse victim offender. This perpetrator or offender may deny the behavior, attack the individual on doing the confronting, and reverse the roles of the victim and offender, such as the perpetrator assumes the victim roles and turns the true victim or the whistleblower into an alleged offender. Huh, that's fascinating. I did not know this was an even term. This may have to be used by myself relatively soon. This occurs, for instance, when a actually guilty perpetrator assumes the role of falsely accused and attacks the accuser's credibility and blames the accuser for being the perpetrator of a false accusation. Onision has loudly proclaimed that he was falsely accused and has continued to perpetuate this false narrative of being a victim after he strategically lured, enticed, transported, maintained, groomed, and ultimately R'd Sarah. On September 21st, Onision released a video called Goodbye Video, which was posted in 3 parts. These videos were posted to YouTube, were available for the public viewing. In the first 3 of these videos, Onision falsely stated Sarah told Onision would destroy his life and would not agree to destroy his life for lying specifically if she got what she wanted. Onision broke up with Sarah because she wanted to be extorted. Sarah was paid to lie in association with Discovery Plus with Chris Hansen. Discovery Plus and Blackfin paid Sarah $40,000 for R-ing him. Sarah R'd him. Sarah performed extortion with this synonymous with R. Sarah R'd Onision because she told him that she would destroy his life and hurt him if she did not sleep with her. This is crazy, dude. On February 8th, Regina also filed lawsuit against Onision in the District of Florida. As soon as they became aware of the lawsuit, both Onision and Jackson attempted to silence Sarah by calling her. This is attempting to manipulate her not to file this lawsuit. As a direct result of these defamatory statements, Onision and Sarah have caused reputational harm, been baited and harassed online. She is fearful for the public social media account, has been publicly humiliated, and emotionally and psychologically harmed. All right, so she's going through the same thing. Damages, the amount of $150 in damages, the cost of action, including reasonable attorney fees. It's pretty standard. Defamation per se. Defamation per se. You really should watch what you say on the internet. Defamation is a real thing. After the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard situation, it's becoming a way easier thing to do. And the thing about the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard situation is that Amber Heard didn't even mention Johnny Depp by name, and he won. So what happens when you mention the person and you're defaming them by name and you're tagging them on social media and you're saying things that are just untrue and false? Ironic. All right, well, that is that. That is losing my voice. That's that, ladies and gentlemen. The second lawsuit. Onision is being sued by 2 people. I think that this lawsuit in the Michigan filing is way stronger, and I want both to win, obviously, but I just think because of the physical involvement and what they did with the parental guardianship and everything, that the case is really. I'm going to be on the edge of my seat when this goes to trial. You know. And I wish nothing best for Sarah and Regina in this, and full recovery and healing. And I hope that through this lawsuit, if they come out on top, that's exactly what they can be provided, is healing. Because when this type of stuff happens, when you go through this type of defamation and this type of level of abuse, it really does affect people. And I know it's the internet, and people take the internet not that seriously, but when it involves criminal acts like this, or criminal accusations, it's serious and can really affect people long term. So thank you for watching this video. I'll see you guys next week for another video. Until next time, thank you for watching. All my socials are linked down below. My gaming channel is linked down below. If you like video games, check it out.